Welcome back, everybody, here to the GioMoShow. We just got done talking about Oakland University swim and dive, so you can rewind to watch that right here on YouTube or wherever you're listening to on your podcast platform here. We now get into the Beyond portion of the show. As if you remember, the GioMoShow is your home for Oakland sports and beyond. Welcome to the Beyond portion as we cover the USPBL here every single week on the GioMoShow. We're now into week, I believe, 7 as we're getting into All-Star Weekend. That's going to be going on Friday. And so far, the way it's been going, my Hoppers have maintained first place for most of the season so far, but it's starting to get close. It's getting dicey where we are one half a game away from dropping from first place. And we'll give you the details here. There was 4 games played this week, none on Sunday. So it was just a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday doubleheader that was played at Jimmy John's Field. And we start off with the Mammoths and the Unicorns. This one, played on Thursday, will remain scoreless all the way until the bottom of the 3rd inning, in which the Unicorns, they got the lead. And then they kept going and going and going to the tune of 6 runs in the bottom of the 3rd inning to give them a 6-0 lead after the first third. The Mammoths would respond. They would wake up. The bats would start flying. They would get a run in the 4th, and they would get 4 in the 5th to close it to just a 1-run game. But throughout that stretch, the Unicorns got a couple of runs as well, 1 in each inning. So we're now at an 8-6 game after 5 innings. We continue going and going scoreless until the game was called in the bottom of the 8th, and reason for such I'm not entirely certain of, but there's an X in the bottom of the 8th inning and no more innings on the box score. So as it stood, or rather it was an 8-5 game, rather, mental math, excuse me. And that's where it would end after 8 innings, as the Unicorns would take that win with chunk runs, 8-5 over the Mammoths to start off the week. Stats overall for that game, it was Francis Florentino from the Mammoths that got the bats moving. He was 2 for 3 with a run and 2 RBIs. But for the Unicorn side, it was Andre Dimitrov who went 2 for 4 with 2 runs and an RBI. And then Cam Farrar, 2 for 4, 1 and 1 for runs and RBIs. So then the Unicorns continue. They play on Friday against the struggling Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. The Beavers, who only have 3 wins so far after 7 weeks of play. This one was a fireworks show to start off, almost right away, as there would be 5 home runs hit in this game to the tune of 9 total runs between the two teams. And it wasn't just the Unicorns that were doing it either. It was the Unicorns that started off in the top of the first inning with 2 runs to get the 2-0 lead, but it would be a Joe Burke home run for the Beavers that would get them the lead. 3 runs off the single bat of Joe Burke, former Hopper. Don't worry, no hard feelings, Joe, but that would then get the Beavers the lead after the first inning. They would shut out the Unicorns in the top of the second and then add another 3 in that bottom of the second inning. So now they're up 6-2 over the Unicorns after 2 innings, but that's when the Unicorns got back into action, got back into their groove. 5 runs in the top of the 3rd to give them a 7-6 lead. And then they would add on to it in the 4th, another 3 runs. That would then give them a 10-6 lead. They continued to hold the Beavers scoreless, adding another 2 in the 6th and another 2 in the 8th, allowing only 1 in the bottom of the 8th, finishing up the game a 14-7 win over the Beavers. And like I said, 5 home runs, 9 total runs off of said home runs. And final stats, we'll go with the Beavers first. It was Matthew Piotrowski who did his job. He went 2 for 2, 2 runs and 2 RBIs, 2s all across the board. Joe Burke with the home run, he was 1 for 4, but that hit got him a home run. 3 RBIs and a run on the stat sheet. And then Pablo Ruiz went 3 for 4 with a run and an RBI. But to the high-scoring Unicorn side, they would have 2 batters that had 6 chances at it, as they were able to go through a few cycles in the batting order. Andre Dimitrov, again, high-scoring batting performer, 3 for 6 with 2 runs and an RBI. Jared Weber would go 3 for 6, 2 runs and 4 RBIs. Tyler Shin would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs to total up for the 14-7 wins for the Unicorns. They now have 2 in a single weekend here. Haven't lost. Never lost, said the Unicorns, as much as that hurts me to say as a Diamond Hoppers fan. But we continue now into the Saturday doubleheader, as the Mammoths would be the ones to take on my Frogs on Saturday for the final game played in the month of June. This one would be a lot lower scoring than we saw in the previous 2 games this week. It would start off with no runs scored all the way until the top of the 4th inning. In that top of the 4th inning, it would be the Mammoths to start off the scoring with 2 runs in the 4th inning, continuing to hold the Hoppers scoreless. They would add another 2 in the last inning, at top of the 6th, because they only play 6 in a doubleheader, to win that one 4-0. They shut out my Frogs, dude. I couldn't believe it. I kept looking at the box score, looking and looking for who got anything going. Hoppers had 2 hits the whole game. No runs. Nothing. Zilch. There's ants and flies coming out of the cabinet for hits and runs. And part of that would go to the Mammoths pitching. Got to give my flowers. 4.1 innings would go to Trey Cruz, as he would pitch 4.1 innings, only allowing those 2 hits with 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. And then Michael Esposito, 1.2 innings. He would finish the game out. No runs, no hits, and 1 batter walked with 2 strikeouts. So it looked like it was a good pitching performance for the Mammoths. Pierce Banks, for the Hoppers, he would pitch 4 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 7 strikeouts, and 3 walks. Not a bad performance from the 3-time pitcher of the week, Pierce Banks, but it just wasn't enough when the bats weren't going. It was Blake Valdiver that got the only 2 hits for the Hoppers, going 2 for 3, but no one else able to bring him back once he got the hits off. So game 1 would go to the Mammoths in a disappointing 4-0 win. But no worries, because we got the second game, right? Almost. So the second game of the doubleheader would also be a low-scoring event, even lower scoring in terms of total. Mammoths would start it off with a single run in the top of the first, and the Diamond Hoppers would respond to tie the game in the bottom of the second. And then a frost, a blizzard, a freeze went over both teams, as no one else was able to score as the scoreboard stayed frozen, bringing us to sudden death. And now, for those who don't remember the rules of sudden death, they go this way. Teams will flip a coin as to who goes on offense and who goes on defense. The team who goes on offense will send their previous batter over to first base. Their job is to get that runner home within the 3 outs. If you get that runner home from first base, you as the offensive team win. If you as a defensive team get the 3 outs before that happens, you win the game. And that was the condition set. It would be the Mammoths on offense for sudden death. And looking at the play-by-play for that, it is not provided. I thought it was. Hold on, found it. So for that 7th extra inning, half inning, it would be Francis Florentino to pinch hit to bring home, trying to bring home Garback kick. Sorry about that. So it would be Florentino, the first one to try and get the bases moving, and he would by getting hit by a pitch, moving him to first base, and Garback over to second. The following would be Fleming to single with a bunt, now loading the bases, getting Garback over to third. And then in the final batter, it would be Nick Pastor for the Mammoths, batting and batting and batting. He was walked. Moved the bases, got the RBI. Garback goes to home plate and scores to win the game for the Mammoths. So in total, Mammoths sweep the doubleheader against my Frogs. Hoppers hit 1 run, or bring in 1 run in 12 innings, as they barely hold on to first place. Now I say this like I'm upset, and I say this like I'm in a bad mood. Well, that's because both of which are true. I've had a bad week in sports, and we'll talk about that in the soccer segment coming up. But for my Frogs, it's not looking good. As the standings currently stand, it is the Eastside Diamond Hoppers in first place, 12-7, but Utica is right behind them, also 12 wins, but 8 losses, making the difference. Westside Woolly Mammoths closing in, 10 wins, 7 losses. Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers out of the picture, 3-15 is their record. So teams, the top 3 are really starting to close in on my Hoppers, and we're going to have to turn it around after this All-Star week to get things moving here, because I want to stay froggy, and I believe in staying froggy. And I hope my Frogs do so as well. They've been playing like a championship team for most of the first half of the season. Ebbs and flows happen in baseball. I understand. I'm not saying it's all over. But I would prefer not to dip too far down in the standings here. So we got to pick it up. That's fine. That's fine. We got to sharpen the sword. Got to get your hops in. And we got to get ready to go for this upcoming week after All-Star break. So that will close it out here on the GioMo Show. In total, the Hoppers going 0 for 2. Meanwhile, the Unicorns and the Mammoths getting their 2 wins in this weekend. But luckily, the Beavers make us feel a little bit better with only a single loss for this weekend. So that'll close it out for the USPBL here on the GioMo Show. Coming up, our final segment will be little coverage, a little rant, a little speech on the state of Italian-American soccer. We'll talk about that right here on the GioMo Show.